Hi, I'm Nick and this is the TBT channel. Welcome to today's video. Now, today's video is about the Snowpeak SPA M60B, or the Umarex Zelos as it's otherwise known. It's another video about this one. It's like a disease. I can't stop tinkering with things. I'm constantly thinking, oh, what can I do with this? What can I do with that? And that is this is a continuation of that. Now, I could be videoing this outside today because it is lovely and sunny, but you might be able to hear I'm a bit croaky. I've got a bit of I've got a dodgy chest, something on my chest. So I'm staying inside in the warm, and I'm using the kitchen table because Mrs. Bum is actually in the UK at the UK office, so I can get away with this kind of stuff today. So what we're going to do today, I've done a strip down and shown you where you adjust things. Today we're going to go a step further. We're going to start adjusting them, and then we're going to see what actually happens when you adjust them. So what I'm going to be doing is taking the rifle apart. First of all, I'm taking the scope. I'll take the thermite. This is the D&T thermite. Take that off of there because we want to make this as small as possible while we do all the work necessary. Oh, thank you also to, oh, bum, I've forgotten your name. Whoever it was on the first video I did of this, who sent me a message saying, actually, the sectional moderator that comes on this, if you strip it down far enough, you will find a 1/2 inch UNF thread, and I have. There's a 1/2 inch UNF thread there. So if you don't want to use the sectional moderator from Snowpeak that comes with this, you can, and I did, replace it with something else. And this is a sack, and I tried that on there. I couldn't hear a difference between the two. This one fits perfectly on my Reximex Meta, so it's going back on it. This seems perfectly good. I will probably, at some point, do a test of exactly that. We'll test some moderators and see how good that at different lengths compares against my AIM Sport one and my SAC one. But that's going to be in the future. So today we are going to adjust. What are we going to adjust? We're going to adjust the regulator and the hammer, and we're going to see what kind of a power span we can get, which I think is exciting because this is currently running, as you will have seen in the first one, at 50 foot-pounds, and that is glorious, it is lovely, and it is wonderful. But it's knocking the crap out of my backstop down the back there. I've got concrete blocks, hollow concrete blocks, admittedly, down at the end of the garden at 73 metres. I know I can't shoot those with my rimfire because it puts holes. It will knock stuff off of it. But my 30 foot-pound air rifle and all my other air rifles don't do anything. So it stood there for ages. I started shooting targets on it with this. It's knocking bloody lumps off it. So yes, it's lovely, but really it's a little excessive. So I don't know what power I'm going to settle on. That's going to be after testing, but today what I'm going to see is what the ranges I've got. I've got a variable regulator here. I've got a variable hammer here. So what we're going to do is get into it, turn it down, go through the steps it tells you in the book of words what to do. Then we're going to take it outside, and then we're going to do some filming out there, but I'll wrap up a little bit for that. But I wanted to do this in the warm on the table because I can. So the first thing we have to do, we're checking the gun isn't cocked. Okay, I've done this outside, but I'm showing you. I'm checking the gun isn't cocked. We've got no magazine in there. We're going to remove the bottle. Now this bottle, and I'll leave the teat on there. This bottle is removable. It says in the instructions. I've already done it a couple of times while it's charged. I think I've done it on film while it's charged actually. But it is removable. Air will escape. The only air that's going to escape is the air out of the regulator. So get ready for the hiss. Sorry, dogs. Henry doesn't like that. Henry's my failed chasse dog. I didn't find him. Friends of ours found him wandering in the Pyrenees. Skin and bone he was when we got him. They contacted all the chasse in the area. Nobody wanted to admit to owning him. He wasn't chipped, so we ended up bringing him home, but he's scared of guns. He's scared of noises. He's scared of the thunder. And when pigeons walk past his nose, he just ignores them. Not much of a hunting dog, if I'm honest. So here we go. You can see the regulator there is down to 0. And to confirm this, click. We have no air in the system. It is depressurized. So that is our regulator. Oh, I'm going to take off. That's our locking nut for the regulator. That's our regulator actually exposed. So what we need to do, I'm just going to double check the book of words to make sure I'm doing it in the correct direction, because I don't want to get this wrong. So adjusting the regulator. If I wanted to increase the regulator pressure, now this is important for this video. If I want to increase the regulator, all I do is use my favourite screwdriver there and slowly move it anti-clockwise, and then just watching the dial will go up as more pressure goes in there, and then you stop at the correct pressure. But it won't work the opposite way round because it's already pressurised, so you can't see it. So the way you have to do it, if you want to reduce your regulator pressure, and bear in mind in this video I'm going to start from the very lowest and then work my way up. So what I need to do is slowly turn this screw. Get on there. These glasses aren't as good as they could be for close up. Let me just, still getting used to the whole varifocal thing. Slowly turn that clockwise until I feel resistance, and there it is, just there. So that should be, according to this, when I repressurize it, at 0 or close to 0. So what I need to do now is expose the hammer. And to expose the hammer, I do need to remove, pom 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 pom, I do need to remove, are you him? Are you him? Are you the correct one? No. I've gone and put Allen keys out that I thought I needed to do this. And look, oh no, it's that one. It's that one. I just spotted him. He was hiding. It's that one there. That's my bag of random Allen keys. I have sets, but a bag of random ones got all the odd sizes in it as well. Put it over there so you can't see it and mock me for it. I want to expose the hammer, and we're going to leave it exposed so that I can go from the leastest to the mostest. I'm not going to do the points in between because we don't really care about that, do we? You know, if I set the regulator to A pressure and then we test the hammer spring at its highest tension and its lowest tension, we'll know that we've got a span between A and B on that setting. So I don't have to do each and every single one. What I'm intending to do, and bearing in mind, I'm doing this before I've actually done it. As always, you get to see this as it happens. I have no idea what's going to occur at all. I intend to start off with quite a low reg pressure, maybe 60 bar, maybe 80 bar. I don't know. It could well be that 60 bar, it simply isn't enough to push the pellet through, but that's okay because I've got rods. And if that is the case, I can poke it back down. I can clear the barrel. That's not an issue. But I want to see how low can you go, basically, because it'll be interesting. And also it's going to reduce the noise. Now, I have mentioned it's not a particularly loud rifle, but the sound of that pellet smacking stuff at the other end is quite loud. It's a hell of a thing. And also thank you to the fella, again, who's that? I'm not good with names, especially if I read it last night, who told me you can actually get barrel kits for this. Now, he was from Royal British Canadian, and the company that he knows of that does the barrel kits for these, so you can interchange the caliber, they're a Royal British Canadian company. So they're out of stock at the moment, but I have sent them an email. So thank you for the guy who contacted me. He sent an email and said, if you get some of these, let me know, because I would be interested in testing it in other calibers, because I could buy them in other calibers, but why? If the regulator and hammer are so easily adjustable, you could have preset powers, preset settings for different barrels, and yeah, I'm going to go 9mm today, wind it up a little bit. It's not going to be able to go up too far because I don't think we have a plenum on this. Well, certainly if there is, it's not very big. But I've got a 90cc plenum on my Umarex MX Meta, which is odd because that gives it the opportunity for higher powers, but that only does 30 foot-pounds. It seems strange when this one, which out the box does 50 foot-pounds, hasn't got one. I have seen a video on Tinterwebs where a fella, no offence, I mean the guy might know exactly what he's doing, but he's putting a homemade plenum onto the side of the gun, and he's drilling away on it, and whoa, gave me the heebie-jeebers to watch it. It did. So there's our hammer no, there is our hammer, and that is very, very, very easy to adjust. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with it flush to this point here, because I think it needs to be for this, and then we're going to wind it in. So we're going to do flush and in on different regulator settings. And I have also seen a video where you can drill a hole here to correspond with where the hammer is there, so you can adjust it just by removing this pad here. That's something I may well do at some point, but they're equally likely I might not bother, because once I've got it set, once I've got the power I want, I might probably just leave it alone. And also and forthwith, you remember I adjusted the trigger and I didn't adjust the throw of the first stage. I have now adjusted the throw of the first stage, and the little circlip that was on that little pin running through there, well, that got lost. So I've replaced it with an M2x8 nut and bolt, and that fits absolutely perfectly. And interestingly, it's a reverse thread on this. So when you think you're winding it in, going clockwise, you're actually winding it out. So you have to go counterclockwise to wind it in. But you will see now, I've just cocked that. The first travel is only to there now, so it's an awful lot shorter. And then it's away. And I've just remembered, I did see somewhere that there be an adjustment for spring tension. I'll look into that in a bit. I'll look into that after I've done this bit. And if that is so, I will show you that on this video as well. So I've exposed my hammer. I've wound in my regulator. I've removed the shroud for ease of access. I'm now going to pop my bottle back on. Now, bear in mind, every time you take the bottle on and off, you're losing a certain amount of air here. I've got my compressor. That's not a problem. But if you've got a hand pump, you might get teasy with the amount of pumping you'll have to do to achieve this. So that started the thread off. Good. Wind him back on. Listen to it pressurise. There it goes. That's pressurised. Definite stop there. And I was thinking, bloody hell, it's still at 150, 200, 220. That's because I'm looking at the bottle pressure reg. On my regulator pressure here, I'm on 0, or as near to 0 as makes no odds. So what I'm going to do is favourite screwdriver into there, and then give it a small amount of whoa, there we go, counterclockwise. And that has taken me, the first one has taken me to 80 bar. 80 bar. So we're going to start today's testing at 80 bar, minimum hammer, and we'll see what power we get. Let's get outside into the cold and see what we do. Just inserting this bit here, as mentioned, I said about the trigger being adjustable for the weight. I found it. If you remove, doing this bit by hand, the handle, then you get into here and you find this bit part, and there's a couple of screws holding that, and you remove it, you'll find a collet here. Now this collet was actually further up this way, and I couldn't see it underneath that cover there. So that is the adjustment for the tension. And what I've done is I've brought it back. I'm pointing at my screen. You can't see when I point at the screen. I brought it, it was kind of there. The full extent is about here. So I've put just a small amount of tension on it so that it's a light trigger, but you can feel it. You can feel the resistance, but it's not pulling it like it was before. And I've done this after I've done the next bit with the testing. So this is an insert, but I can tell you, it's made a hell of a difference. This is now actually a very good trigger. Let's go outside. Right, I did that again. I tried it again, and the absolute minimum I can do, even with the gentlest turning of that screw, is about 80 bar, possibly a shade over, depending on the accuracy of that gauge. So I'm using the JSB King Exacts 25.39 grains. I've popped it on safety. Let's pop a magazine in there and close it up. I'm using my LMBR chrono, my much abused LMBR, because it's the only one I've got. But exciting news for chrono lovers, I've got a Nate Crony on the way. Now, if you're a member of the AGF, you'll know Nate Crony. His products are superb, and I've got one coming out, a new one, apparently, a new chrono to test. So that's going to be exciting and something to look out for. Minimum spring, minimum air pressure, 25 grain pellet. Take the safety off. They go pop better if you do that. 25.17 foot-pounds. That's 668 feet a second. Okay, it's not exactly bell target pressure, but it's half the power of where it was when it came out the factory. So that is good. I mean, that's a useful thing to know. If I don't know, if I get a situation where 25 foot-pounds is enough, it's going to do an awful lot of shots at that, isn't it? So that's at the minimum and minimum. Now, I have checked before starting this part of the video how many turns to turn in the hammer spring. And the way I did that was safety on, cock the action, hold on to the lever just in cases. It was before I put any air in it. And then you just wind the hammer in until you think, yeah, you don't want to go any tighter than that. It just starts to get squeaky. It's 3.5 turns. So half, 1, half, 2, half, 3, half. That is my 3.5 turns. Still 80 bar-ish. From 25.17 to 26.5. That confirms everything I think about these power adjusters. I've got a hammer power adjuster on my Meta Premium. It's an external one at the back there, and it's 57 clicks from one end to the other, and about a 1 foot-pound difference between them. When you get up to these kind of powers, I don't think the hammer spring makes an awful lot of difference, but there is a foot-pound in it. So half 1, half 2, half 3, half. So that's back to the original setting. Now I'm going to remove the magazine, put safety on. Should have done that in the other order. Remove the magazine. 2 shots gone from the magazine. And I'm going to see how little I can adjust the regulator now. Still showing about 80, a shade over, as I say. Shade over, so just the tiniest turn. It moved a fraction. I'm going to try and get it to 100 on the scale. I think that's 100 bar. Let me just fire off just some air to test. It was a shade under. I didn't want to increase it more in case it increased after the first shot when it refilled, but it hasn't. That is spot on 100 bar there. So 100 bar, safety on, 100 bar with the minimum spring. Close that, safety off. Into position, so we had 26.5 before and 25 point something with the least spring. 31.02. Again, that's not a bad power. That's about the same as I get from the Reximex. That's 740 feet a second. Sorry, I was just playing with, you probably went all wibbly wobbly then because I had my hand over the microphone. Sorry about that. Very unprofessional, that's me. 740 feet a second with a 25 grain pellet is it's a useful tool. 1, half, 1, half, 2, half, 3, half. So 3.5. We're going to go from 3102. Do you know what that's actually reduced at? 30.1. Let me just... 30.14. Very consistent. But you know what? The hammer spring, not worth a wank. Let's just half 1, half 2, half 3, half. 32. I'm getting more power with the hammer spring out. I'm going to leave the hammer spring where it is, if that's okay with you lot, because this is happening as it happens. There's no practice, testing, experimenting before you see this. I don't see the point in that. We're doing this together. It's exciting and it's real. It's actually real. We're going to see what really happens. So close that magazine out. Now I'm going to try for what, 110 or 120. Let's see where it... I think 120 would be the next one. We don't want to go too far, do we? You don't want to... It's not necessary. So there's 110. It's very tiny movements on this to change it. Just as a warning to those out there. Right, so 120 bar. Settle them in. Safety, open, magazine, in. Obviously not correctly though. What am I doing wrong there? If I put it in the wrong way round. What have I done wrong there? Oh, I can guess. I can guess, can't I? When I've loaded this is like an FX mag. You have to turn it around. The first one has to go in back to front under spring tension, then that holds it, then you can put the rest in. I've put them in the wrong places because I had a partially used magazine, so I hadn't rewound the spring. So bear with me while I just cover up my errors like I know what I'm doing. Those who know me know I don't. Not really. So we're up to 120 bar. Shut that. Still got the safety on. That into position. That forwards. Safety off. So 32.3 at 100. At 120 we get 38.68. Okay, 38.68. So we're in at 120 bar. If you've got one of these figures should be useful because I can't imagine it being too vastly different from gun to gun. Pellet to pellet, certainly. But, oh, 38 foot-pounds at 120. Now we know that it's about 150. In fact, if I take it up to 140, let's just... that's 135. Midway between what it was and what it was before I started. It was on 120, that one, 150 from factory. So let's see what it does on about 135. Again, these are approximate values because I'm only using the gauge that's on here. We don't know just how accurate that gauge is. 42.6 foot-pounds, 870 feet a second. That's nice. That's nice. If I take it to 150 now, we should see us get around about, what was it, 47 or 48 foot-pounds with this pellet, I think. Onto the regulator. And these tiny movements I'm doing on this reg. Absolutely minimal. And every single tiny movement is making that needle move. So there's 150. I'm just going to see what I've got Yeah, I've still got 190 in the bottle. Guess what I'm going to do with the last one? Have a guess, go on. So this should take us back up to 50-ish. 40, was it 47, 48? In an ideal world, if I've done everything correctly, that's what we should get with this. 50.02, 941.9 feet a second. So yeah, it's doing exactly what you'd expect it to. Now, just for one and just for a laugh, I've got, what have I got in my bottle? I've got 190 in the bottle, so I'm going to take it up to 180 if I can. I don't know if it'll work. In fact, no, I'll take it up to one and less than that first. Let me just shut that down, turn this around. Wood pigeons. Wood pigeons literally sitting there looking at me filming. Shocking behaviour. Obviously I wouldn't run the gun at 170 bar, because first of all you're going to get not very many shots at all, and secondly they're going to be far too fast, I think. Safety on, open it up, magazine and in. Close that, line her up, safety off. 54.2. Which means I think we're getting to the limit of the air. This is where a plenum would come in. If you want to take it much over 50, I think you need a plenum, so there's a larger volume of air. Or it could well be, actually, that the hammer is having trouble overcoming the valve. So let's do half one, half two, half three and a half. See if that makes a difference. This is all testing as we go. It's 54.2, which was 980 feet a second. More spring, reduced it again. So no, the spring is still doing the opposite of what we want. Half one, half two, half three and a half. So safety, open, magazine, safety, fire, close. And we have got in the bottle now 180. So let's take it to, let's just open it. Let's just open it. There we are, it stopped moving. We are now at 180 bar, which is the same as I have in the bottle. So this should theoretically give us the maximum power that we're going to get with this spring, valve, transfer port and volume of air being thrown out. And let's see what that power is. Safety off. 56.7 foot-pounds. I'm just going to go and get one of the 33 or 34 grain pellets just to see what that does. Bear with. I've got some of these. These are 33.95 grain. First of all, I'm going to pop one into the magazine. You have to go against the spring all the way round. Drop it in, skirt first. There we are. That's just one shot in the mag. This doesn't come with a single shot loader. That's one thing I would have liked with this, is a single shot loader. So on here on the screen at the moment with the 25.39 grain pellets, the most I achieved was 56.78 grains, which was 1003.4 foot-pounds, which I don't think is bad without changing anything on the gun apart from fiddling with the adjuster. So we're up to 34, near, give or take. 1, 2, 3. I tried to leap past again. 85, 33.95 grain. Wallop. Safety on, open. So I think this got 2 foot-pound more at 150 bar. we'll see what we achieve at what is now still 180 bar. 180 bar. 62.15 foot-pounds, which is 908 feet a second. And there you go. That is, my microphone's down there. I'm hoping this worked. I hadn't realised I'd knocked my microphone off. I don't know when I did that. We'll see. We'll see. That is our experiment concluded. That's what happens if you adjust your regulator from minimum to maximum. And quite honestly, that modification where you can adjust your hammer spring from outside, don't bother with that. If anything, it'll reduce the power. So just concentrate on this. All I need to do now is decide what power I'm going to run it at. And we'll see that in the next video. Like, subscribe, hit notifications. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.